Hey guys, it's Extreme Strategy here, and welcome to another battle guide. This one's going to be for Slaanesh, and there's going to be two examples of these Slaaneshians in battle. One is going to be against Grand Cathay, who is supposed to represent basically a lot of ranged and a lot of firepower and how to defeat it, and the other one will be against Nurgle, who's supposed to be, very heavy in melee, very strong stats, very tanky, exactly how Slaanesh can tear apart both instances, whether it be ranged or melee. So, the army comp that we're going to be going with is we're going to have two of these Fiends of Slaanesh in the front, with two Exalted Secret Chariots in back, two Soul Grinders on the flank. In this batch we have Demonettes of Slaanesh on the edges, and then Exalted Demonettes of Slaanesh in the center. Same thing for the other side. Demonettes of Slaanesh on the flanks, Exalted in the center. Then we have two Keepers of Secrets, with Nakari right behind them, and all the way forward deployed, or Vanguard deployed, are these Heartseekers of Slaanesh. All right through here. So the key to when using Slaanesh is primarily three things. Keeping in mind that they are low armor. I mean, their armor stats is literally 5 for the Demonettes of Slaanesh, and these are the worst unit in the army. But their speed is 54, melee attack is 38, melee defense is 36, weapon strength is 32, and the charge bonus of 20. If I just slide over to, say, these Fiends of Slaanesh, armor is 30, still trash. Their speed is 95. So these guys don't have any armor. Over here, 5 armor, but once again, speed 80, melee attack 60, melee defense 50, weapon strength 236. Oh, I forgot to mention weapon strength of 80 on these guys. So they have very little armor. However, they have ridiculous speed, ridiculous offensive capabilities. They will tear, and I mean tear, through anything and everything. And yes, they take a lot of casualties because they're low armor. But they will absolutely shred just about any and every army. I mean, it has to be an extreme offset for these Slaaneshians to not be able to absolutely tear apart everything. And of course, this is just in my own personal preference. I know there are some other YouTubers who say Slaanesh is the worst faction in the game because of the fact that you can't just toss them in there. But Slaanesh, yes, they have their speed and damage. Now, the other two things, one of which is they have no ranged. Like even the Soul Grinders, they don't have any ranged capabilities. They are melee only. And the third one is actually magic. Slaaneshian magic, while not necessarily the most powerful at doing damage, has a very wide variety. You can buff your own units, you can debuff enemy units, or you have Slicing Shards, which is basically a spell that will absolutely tear apart anything and everything that it comes across. It will take a Celestial Dragon Guard like this, who has, 95 armor, and melee defense of 57, who's then being buffed by the Harmony, and basically drop them to a third health. So, do not underestimate Slaaneshian magic. When used properly, it is very powerful. Now, Slaanesh is more of an advanced faction and race than necessarily a beginner one. So if you're a beginner, you might have to struggle, but if you're advanced, this video will hopefully help you understand the powers of Slaanesh and how to use them properly. So I'm going to hit play. Immediately, these Heartseekers charge in. The missiles. Now, I'm just going to put this into slow motion. They are launching missile barrage at me. First missile misses. Second and third missiles miss. All their missiles basically are missing. It says my Lord is under attack because they took a tiny bit of splash damage. That entire missile barrage missed because of how fast Slaanesh is. Yes, if Slaanesh is slow, it would do damage. And this is just the idiocy of the AI. Why are you not noticing that I have Heartseekers right next to you, who are basically looking to charge into these Celestial Dragon crossbowmen, who, yes, they have crossbows and are absolutely going to shred me right here. Still, we're going to do a ton of damage. And this is another thing you have to worry about, or you have to think about with Slaanesh, is if you lose units, don't worry about it, you can just always recruit more. Getting Slaaneshian units is very easy, and if you lose them, it really doesn't matter. Look at this, we're only 40 seconds into the fight, and already our troops are completely engaged, except for these guys are coming in just now. And so are these ones. Most of our troops are already engaged in the fight. We're basically charging in. But, like, look at these Terracotta Sentinels. Or Celestial Dragon Guards. They're falling. And yeah, this is the massive shard spell that just tears apart everything. In some ways, kind of missed. But it did do some damage to the Sky Jump, which, unfortunately, Slaanesh does not really have any quote-unquote flying capabilities. They have the Furies, but the Furies are such trash that they really don't count. So, there really is no way to kill Sky Jumps. Just like if fighting Zeech, you're gonna have a bit of a tough time, just because of the fact that Slaanesh is not cut out for it. Here's a nice little spell that releases some Demoness Slaanesh out right in front of some of these Celestial Dragon crossbow. That's what I mean by you have to kind of think when you use these Slaaneshians. You have to plan every spell, you have to plan every placement. If you can do that, they're very easy to use. Yeah, and then a unit has been wiped out. I think it was one of my Heartseeker Chariots. Yeah, Exalted Seeker Chariots. Yeah, these Exalted Seeker Chariots are going to be dead. It's not exactly meant to get stuck into a fray, but when you're fighting someone like Grand Cafe, you kind of get stuck into a fray. Now, let's just look at this Terracotta. Yeah, he's charmed and has this horrific musk. So let's just pause and see who even is still in the fight. We have some Celestial Dragon crossbowmen. Everyone else is breaking. We have a Terracotta Sentinel right there, and the two Sky Junks. An Astromancer, and a Dragon-Blooded Xingyang Lord. Yin. Alright, keep this going. Charging back. Gets hit by a couple of missiles, which as you can see do a ton of damage because of low armor. And that hit to the Terracotta Sentinel does very nice damage. Basically right now it's just kind of tearing apart these Sentinels, but here's one of the spells. Acquiescence. Melee defense minus 24 and speed minus 25%. This drops their melee defense so well. I figure that's stacking on top of Charmed, which is reducing the melee attack slightly. And then if you toss more debuffs onto this, they're not going to last very long. And these Sky Junks are just being a pain in the back. But as you see, the balance power is quickly shifting over from a 50-50 that the auto-resolve would probably have marked as a valiant defeat if this was a campaign, to what will be a Pyrrhic victory according to the game. Anyway, just kind of pulling back and then slamming back in because of the fact that we get flanking bonuses for charging in. I mean, the Terracotta Sentinel is going to fall very rapidly. And I sent some units over here to tear apart the Acromance, who is very quickly dying. Yeah, I don't think that you were meant to handle the sword-beating Astromancer, friend. I'm sorry, I just don't think that was what you were meant for. Now this Terracotta Sentinel is falling well. Yep, the Astromancer is now breaking, and Nakari kills him. But the Witchstealer Sword, one of Nakari's items, that buffs base weapon damage and armor-piercing weapon damage by 100%. That's a lot of buffing. So, as I said, Slaanesh can buff themselves, debuff their enemies, and then do extreme amounts of damage very quickly. So there are only 2 units left. Is a Terracotta Sentinel and a Sky Junk. Now Sky Junk shatters, Terracotta Sentinel dies, and I win. So as I said, it shows it as a Pyrrhic victory. Now if you look at the kill feed, if the game loads, I lost basically both of my Exalted Seekers and both my Heart Seekers. This is not much of a concern, because other than the first initial charge, these units have no other purpose. So if this was a campaign, I just simply literally wait a turn or two for all my units to replenish and get these units right back. Slaanesh is a very expendable based army in the campaign. At least the way I play them, they are. We lost 179 men, while they lost 426. They outnumbered us, and they took more casualties. As you see, there's barely anyone left alive. There's only 96 units left alive out of 522. We have 303 out of 482. So I don't think the Pyrrhic victory thing is correct. I'm sorry. Now we're moving on to number 2. The second example that I had for today, which, as I said, going up against Nurgle, I don't know if this is the greatest Nurgle army. They have some soul grinders, they have some great unclean ones, led by Kugath. You have a cultist, you have a bunch of the bee things, you have some of the plague bearers, and some exalted Forsaken? I don't remember everything's names here. Here, so I'm just going to pause it and see real quick. Forsaken of Nurgle, there we go. The Forsaken of Nurgle. So as I said, very tanky, with the exception of the Plague Bears. Very high armor. I mean, where is the unit? There's the unit. 40 armor. They're very slow, but melee attack is 55, melee defense is 45, weapon strength 250. Oh, come on, where are the Forsaken? Oh, they placed all their Forsaken right here. 85 armor. 40 melee attack, 20 melee defense, 63 weapon strength, and charge bonus of 40. So, Nurgle is, like I said, they're tanky by nature. They're slow, they'll take a beating, and they will not die. The Soul Grinders have 90 armor. Quite a bit. Great and Clean ones only have 40. Well, I wonder why. You're looking a bit squishy compared to this guy. And Kugath has 70 armor. It's only a speed of 28, but he has 276 weapon strength, a range of 400, and 129 missile strength. Then over here, Cultist Nurgle, 45 armor. Melee attack is 50, the melee defense 35, weapon strength is 188. So, very good in melee. Very good in melee. And this is where Slaanesh excels at taking an opponent, having their spell miss, and then basically tearing them to shreds, piece by piece. So yes, the cultist immediately uses the spell, which summons in a batch of plague bearers of Nurgle, which very good spell. And of course, you have the plague drones of Nurgle coming down and doing some damage as well. So I immediately send some of the demonettes over to try and do some damage, especially considering great unclean ones heading on over. Look at this. These exalted plague bearers of Nurgle are basically moving to the very edge of my slicing shards of Slaanesh. They still take a little bit of damage, even though they were basically just outside of it. So if they had stayed inside, they would have had a lot of damage done to them. Over here, a lot of damage being done, summoning in a Demoness Slaanesh. Once again, you gotta think about your placement. Now, I could have gone for Kugath. Kugath, however, was not my target. It was a Soul Grinder over here who was providing artillery support. Kugath is now going to get a little distracted by the Keeper of Secrets. Basically just standing here and going to cast debuffs. All of these Demoness Slaanesh tear apart a Soul Grinder. Basically, these guys over here die. So in the center, this is something you want to avoid with Slaanesh, is getting overwhelmed by your enemy. Because look at how many green banners there are compared to pink ones. I mean, my Fiends of Slaanesh are basically wavering, and soon going to start disintegrating. Even my top tier units will eventually get overwhelmed. And yes, I have some Demonettes Slaanesh that just popped on over here, because they're still chasing the Soul Grinder, and Akari's going to help them kill it. I don't have many troops over there. Where I do have... alrighty. think the banner needs to move to someone else, because I'm pretty sure this unit is going to die the second they hit the ground and break their neck. I have some Heartseekers over here. The Nurgle forces over here are falling apart to the Seeker Chariots and the Demonettes of Slaanesh, and the Exalted Demonettes of Slaanesh. We're basically tearing apart the Plague Drones, and we'll soon have this entire area cleared out of Nurgle. Same exact thing over here. So this is where they excel. They excel at taking the enemy apart, piece by piece by piece. Once you remove some enemies from an area of the map, alright, then that area is cleared out. Just like this guy right here. Unit has been wiped out. That's the summoned unit, by the way. And yes, the cultist of Nurgle is returning. Doesn't really matter a whole lot, though, because the Plague Drones are finally gone, meaning that all these units now are freed up to go help out in the center. Which, as you can see, the instructions were a little bit iffy there for a second. Just the game being the game. It's only been out a few days. It's been out a week. Sorry. 8 days. So the Great Unclean One is dead now, meaning that now I can send my forces over to start attacking Kugat. Once again, the enemy is now being torn apart piece by piece. You have the infantry over here, you have the Lord over here, and you have the support in the center, being attacked by the card. The enemy is now basically separated, and this is what you want as Slaanesh. If you can get the enemy separated, you will win. You will always win. And I know that generally goes for most factions, but this is the way to win as Slaanesh. This is the primary way to win, is to separate your enemy. Basically, they're kind of a glass cannon version of the Beast Knight, because I'm pretty sure that's how I always use the Beast Knight too, is basically trying to separate the army, separate the enemy into sections and then destroy it with my cav. So that would be another possible thing that you could do, is you could use the infantry to try and separate the army and then tear them apart with cav if you so chose. But like I said, this is the easy way to do it. If you guys want a more complex version, be sure to hit the like button and let me know, so that way I know to make a more complex version of how to fight as Slaanesh. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more content that I release, because, you know, Slaanesh and it's not the only faction I'm going to do this for. I intend to do this for every faction. And every time that they release a DLC, do it for the upgraded faction. Or faction that got the DLC. You guys know what I mean. So anyway, what is the kill feed? What did I lose? Yeah, I lost the 2 Fiends of Slaanesh. But once again, sit there for a turn, recruit them back. Oh, and a Heartseeker. Recruit them all back, and by that point your army will be mostly healed up anyway. You might have to sit there for 2 turns. But the enemy is decimated. There's literally nothing left. They have 45 men out of 476. That's less than 10% remaining. 10, or not even 10%, it's like 9%. 9% of an Nurgle army getting destroyed. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also, go check out the Discord, and you can go check out my Facebook page as well. Links to both those in the description below. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.